Hang on, we'll do that one more time.
Let me know when it's the real thing.
This is it.
Okay.
I'm Brian Anderson.
And I'm Bobby Fazio. And welcome to another edition of Class Racing Today. All right, Brian, today we got a jam-packed episode once again. We had a lot of racing going on. What do we do here? The Vegas Sports Nationals concluded. Vegas had another divisional. I participated in an East Coast stock super stock race yesterday at Atco Dragway. We had national points sealed up. Just, man, all kinds of good stuff going on. What did you do this weekend, Brian? You go hunting? Did you go skiing? What'd you do?
Yeah, I actually took my son to a friend's place. We went and shot some pheasants, so that was pretty fun. It was actually, I was kind of the odd man out. I got stuck in bracket racing world and was trying to be inundated with top ball, bottom ball, eighth mile. They were trying to switch me. I even sat in a roadster of all things. My son was in a dragster. It was like an indoctrination of craziness. But I think I got two of them convinced. One's thinking about building a super stock GT S10 pickup, and the other one's looking for a Camaro. So I'm just doing my part to try to spread the class racing goodness across America.
There you go. I like it. Did you sell him on a new motor? You gonna sell him your motor?
Actually, there was a third guy I talked to that had a Trans Am, and we were talking about doing some upgrades, and he's like, "Oh, where'd you get your motor?" I'm like, "Well, I just think I got something in the works." And he's like, "What are you doing with yours?" I'm like, "We should put it in your Trans Am." "Well, then I need a transmission." I'm like, "Guess what? We can make that happen too." And he's like, "I just like the way those stockers leave. They're always got the wheels hanging in the air." And he's like, "That's really cool, but man, it's expensive." This is coming from a guy that has a $60,000 motor in his dragster that races for $600. And, I go, what do you want to do with big money races? We call those races in our association. But no, it was a pretty good weekend. It was super nice. We got a bunch of rain. I don't know, kind of disappointed that the racing season's somewhat over. It was neat to kind of watch you go, and I caught some of the Vegas stuff. That was pretty neat. Probably the most exciting part about my weekend was the cards probably didn't play out quite like they were hoping to, but the craziness, my mentor, the only reason that I have a race car today is in-house in the studio. The infamous, notorious 4-speed John McLaughlin is in the house.
Wow, what an intro.
Johnny!
Hey, Bobby, how you doing?
Hey, Mr. Producer, where's one of those, things, Craig, you really let us down on that one.
Oh, it happened on one of them.
So, yeah, I was out in Vegas participating in all the fun out there, and I just drove 1,500 miles here in the last 36 hours, and now I'm in Millbank, South Dakota. What a crazy world we live in.
My goodness. I bet you Brian didn't even give you a cup of coffee when you rolled in the door either.
Well,
He's drinking one in front of all of us right now.
Hey, this is my weekend. We're double fisting. Our in-house coffee shop came in handy today.
Well,
Brian's got 2 coffees. Poor John's probably dying for one.
As you well know, Bobby, that coffee will stunt your growth. Guys like us can't have any.
Hey, I don't know if you guys watched his lights, but that's one guy that doesn't need coffee.
Well, apparently I had a little too much.
Stayed away from all that.
Apparently I must have had a little coffee in that first round there when I turned her red finally after having a really good weekend of hitting the tree. Yes.
If we end up in the final again,
that's
I'm
the thing, and I know people are really people are strict about that. No coffee. Don't eat. No eating between rounds. I'm munching down Halloween candy all day yesterday, and I totally disregard all the unwritten rules for driving a race car.
And Bobby, did you win?
No way, man. I was cutting good lights though, somewhat, but I spun. I did a nice 60-foot burnout in my 12-second car. But I had Anthony Fetch. He had a 006 light. Would have been a fun race. He ended up winning the whole thing, actually. But more on that later.
Hey, that's the Brian Anderson recipe, right? All the winners got to take you out.
Yeah, let's not talk
Oh, yeah.
about that. We're gonna get serious this year. I've already started my my conditioning program. I've taken all the details I've learned from our podcast so far. So I'm practicing on the tree. I even implemented a diet because there's about 25 pounds that would work a lot better in my car than under the seat. So we're gonna go fast. Gonna get deadly. What did Brina say? We got to do it 10,000 times. So that's probably about how many egg whites I'm gonna have to eat before next race season. But hey, I'm down 8 pounds already for the first week, so I can feel good things in my future.
All right.
So you big guys can drop weight like that real easy.
Yeah. Why don't you just let me drive the car, Brian? We could probably move it up to AA or something.
You know, that's the crazy thing about that car is Firebirds can run AA, A, or B, but Camaros have to run A, B, or C because of, I think it was a misprint or something of how they reported it to NHRA, which
The shipping weight, yeah.
completely ridiculous.
Oh boy,
Right.
you GM guys, there's always some misprint in the background.
Unfortunately, there's one easy way to take about 400 pounds off my car, but it involves adding another pedal, and I'm not there yet.
Come
Oh,
join the rest of us.
man.
It makes it so easy, Brian. Look at those lights you can cut with a left foot.
Yeah. You know, that's actually, it's funny that comes up because my 13-year-old's starting to drive and my 9-year-old's driving around the farm, you know, and like, that's when I learned how to drive. So I got to teach the kids, right? You learn how to drive early in the Midwest. And the other day they were driving, my wife let them drive to town. And she's like, quit using your left foot. Quit using your left foot. Why do you two-pedal it? I'm like, oh, they're my kids. That's how I learned how to drive. My entire life I got yelled at for using both pedals. Now I have an automatic car. Like, my kids are born 4-speed drivers.
Well, there's a lot of truth to that, Brian. You know, obviously I grew up here in Northeast South Dakota as well, on the farm, and everything I drove had a stick in it. I started driving when I was 5-6 years old. You know, old Chevy pickups, tractors, whatever, and yeah, that just morphed into me being a 4-speed race car driver, I guess.
Yeah. One of the funny things is, so quick story offline. So the first truck I ever drove was a 1969 Dodge Power Wagon. It was an old tow truck, probably had 300,000 miles on it. And, you know, I think I was 9, 10, and we were going from one field to the other, which is like 3 miles on gravel roads. My brother was with me, and, you know, dropping the clutch when he's in the back trying to load bales. And he was 3 years older, so I got beat up a lot that day because he'd throw him right off the back, or he was falling around. And it was just good quality memories, right? So we're on the way back, and he's like, let me drive. I'm like, no, I have to learn how to drive. And we're going along, and it seems at the time like we were going 60. But, you know, I was probably in second gear, so you're maybe going 25, 30 max. But when you're 9, you know, like, we're going full light speed. And we're coming up the approach where we have to turn, and he's like, you need to slow down. I pushed the clutch in, and I touched the brake pedal, and nothing happened. And we went over the cross section on the gravel road, so it literally felt like a scene of Dukes of Hazzard. Like, I know all 4 tires are off the ground, and I felt like we flew for 1,000 yards, but yeah, it's funny. Like, we were probably maybe going 20 mile an hour, but it felt like 100. Come back, and we're trying to tell my dad, like, this truck doesn't have any brakes. Like, we go back, brakes were completely gone, still got it to the house. And, like, I remember my grandma getting really mad at my dad, saying, oh, you know, you can't let him drive that pickup if it doesn't have brakes. And the neighbor that was quite the character looked at my dad, and I'll never forget to this day. He said, all brakes do are slow you down. You don't need brakes. It's funny, the memories that are imprinted in childhood. I probably shouldn't have told that story on Facebook Live because we'll probably be investigated or something. But those were the times, you know, we ate crayons and ate dirt and drove around, and life was better.
Explains a lot.
So how was the race, Bobby? A lot of cars?
We did at our East Coast Stock Super Stock. We had 71 cars. Nice payout. And good round money. I mean, I got $50 for losing second round, so I'm a big fan of round money, as you know, Brian. I don't like those top-heavy purses. At that race, though, like I said, Anthony Fetch, who beat me, he was absolutely killer all day. He was 002 first round, 006 against me. I think his worst light of the day was like 14 in the final.
Wow.
And He has a Superstock B stock Camaro. I think it's like an 87-ish Camaro. And he raced my friend Duane Hoven, who has a GTO automatic 71 Maverick. It has a 302 Mercury motor in it. I think it's a 1968 Mercury Cougar motor. And Dwayne was killer yesterday too. He was double O's all day, and he was 16 in the final. So in that final, Fetch was 14, Dwayne was 16, and they were both a little bit over. I believe the margin of victory was 2 thou at the stripe. So it was a good day. Giant wheelies yesterday. The air was great. We had a 30.25 barometer, 28% humidity, and it was hot. It was really hot for a New Jersey day. It was about 84 degrees yesterday on the weather station I was using. So the place was packed. They finally allowed spectators. The concession stand had a line like wrapping around the parking lot. There was other things going on. There was Buick versus Pontiac showdown. There was a car show. It was just a great day for people to come out to the drags. And Atco has been under threat of closing all year. So I was so happy to see this place, having a good crowd. Because other aspects of the place don't look so promising. They took the bleachers out that we all used to at the starting line. They had a set of bleachers that we all used to watch from. They're gone, and the scale down on the return road looks like that thing is like gone. So our first race, points race for Division 1 is supposed to be there next year, April 30th, May 1st, May 2nd. So I'm really hoping that place stays open because I love that track. It's an hour and 15 minutes from my house, and I've had most of my success at that track too.
Yeah, it looks like a really cool place. It's on my bucket list, so hopefully it can hang in there till I can get there.
Yeah, I was trying to put video up. I was only getting 1 bar though, so all my live videos were like freezing and crappy quality, and or just not even uploading. So
Let's give Elon Musk a call, and maybe he can be our corporate sponsor. We can give us internet at the racetracks with that Starlink or whatever.
Good luck.
I just want to let the clutch fly once with a 30.2 barometer. Holy
yeah.
smokes. I had the opportunity last year to race in North Carolina at a Carolina Class Racers Association race. I was out there delivering a street rod, and man, it's like having a whole nother cylinder in your car when at that kind of air. So it was super fun.
So it's the opposite of going to Denver then.
It's the opposite of going to Vegas or Denver or Montana or any other places that we've traveled to. So
yeah, for sure. That car was putting me, back in the seat. I could tell I was on a good pace that first session yesterday, and that was the quickest. It's an L stock automatic 64 Mustang, and that's a 1270 index, and the quickest we've ever gotten that car to go was 1209, and it went 1201 on that first pass yesterday. I was like, wow.
cool.
Yeah.
A second and a half faster would be like driving my car in 5,000 foot air, Bobby.
You're going to let me drive your car, remember? How much do you weigh? How much do I weigh? Come on, we got to figure this out for next year.
It'll be all right either way.
We had a Vegas JEGSportsnationals continuation. All right, this is where, and you can look back at last week's episode, I said Jody Lang's pissed. He red lit in the first round of that Vegas National event. He's going to win this Sports Nationals. And what does he do? He wins the Sports Nationals. So in his 81 Malibu wagon, oh my God, the shaggin' wagon, slow car, gotta love it, over Scott Burton in the factory stock C Mustang Cobra Jet. So he takes that win. Jody Lang, that seals the deal. He locks up his first national championship. Congratulations, Jody Lang.
Yay!
Let's see, Super Stock.
That was Jody's championship there. Couldn't be more deserved. I don't know how many times he's finished second, Bobby. It's like 5 or 6, I think, something ridiculous. I know
Wow.
he lost it 1 year to Joe Santangelo by 3 points, I believe.
Yeah, 2011.
Yeah, and I was actually in that race at the round of down to 8 cars, and it was really cool to be part of it and standing on the starting line when Jerry Stein in his Dart took out Justin Lamb in the next round, and that basically sealed the championship for Jody. So it was a really cool thing to be a part of and see all that excitement, and Jody, to watch him work even after that happening, and his focus and seriousness. And I mean, he's a guy that that's a great guy, but also works very hard at doing a good job in the race car. And I mean, he was focused and obviously took it on to take out Scott Burton there in the final. So it was just a really cool thing to see. And congratulations to him for sure.
What was the
Yes.
atmosphere like? Was everybody watching? Was it kind of like it's on the line, or was there spectators at all? Or
You know, for the national event the previous week, there was a lot of spectators there, but of course the divisional, I believe they didn't have approval to have spectators there. So, but no, there was the stock super stock community was on the starting line for sure every round as I was going up, because people understood what was on the line. And Justin, who had a chance to take the championship away from Jody, so to speak, if he could win out those last two races, and he was on a roll. Obviously, had won the divisional, had won the national event, and was driving like Justin can drive, and in Vegas where there's nobody better. So there was definitely some tension there. And then like Jerry did a great job. He had a good race with Justin and came out on the right side of the math. And like I said, Jody went on to win the race in great fashion to prove that there's not a more deserving champion. So.
Do you have any tips? Are you close with Jody? Can you share something with us? How do you win in an L-stock automatic wagon consistently?
Well, I don't know if I have any tips or not, but there is one thing to say. I mean, you guys have talked about it here on the podcast. He's worked with that combination for a long, long time and has who knows how many thousands of passes in that car, judging the closing line ratios and has figured out how to cut a light in it and knows how to adjust for the wind going down track. I mean, when Jody does his burnout, he's got his hand out the window with his wind meter. And so, because he's making decisions and judgments on what he's going to do at that point, so it just super talented, super intelligent, hardworking guy for sure.
that's just crazy. Yeah, someday we'll get there. Just takes time. I mean, there's so many little intricacies and details, and
If you've ever raced in Vegas, it is one of the most challenging places for the wind. You can literally be in the burnout box, the smoke from the burnout going one direction, the flag at half track going a different direction, and the flag down at the finish line going another direction. I mean, it's insane. And the gusts can be, in several of the races over the past 2 weeks, I mean, the wind would change, 8 to 25 miles an hour. You were going down the track. So
That's
makes
crazy.
Makes it a driver's race for
That's
sure.
right. And to deal with all that in a Malibu wagon that's going down the track 12 seconds is just insane. Now, oof. So
Yeah.
more hats off to Jody Lang.
Yeah, a low-powered, non-aerodynamic car. It's just unbelievable how good he can do in that thing.
For the Super Stock at the JEGSportsnationals, let's see who won here. Tim Seymour, Factory Super Stock D, 16 Camaro over Ed Niquette in the Super Stock A modified Cavalier. Did I get that right? I think I did, because the divisional, Justin Lamb won Super Stock over John Irving. Okay, I thought I had those. I thought I was looking at the wrong one. So Tim Seymour over Ed Niquette. Two very fast cars there. And that race, I believe, after the JEGSportsnationals, Jody locks up his national championship, but the Warner brothers from Division 1 locked up. Brian had already locked up first place in Super Stock. Byron moved his way up into second place, booted David Latino out of second place down to third place. So the Warner brothers, identical twins, Division 1, finishing first and second. Don't think brothers have ever finished first and second in any category nationally. So congratulations to the Warner brothers. They are Division 1 hitters, and I try to avoid racing them at all times. Now my one of my best friends has had to race Brian or Byron Warner at like 10 races, and he's like 0 for 10 against them. Sorry, Jamie.
That's a different strategy than I use, Bobby. I like to race the really good guys because
I like to race them later on. I don't like to race them first round.
Well, that's true. Yeah. No, it's better to race them later in the rounds.
Third, fourth round, I'll race anybody. I don't care at this point now. I'm in the groove. Let's go. You know?
I just always feel like I don't have nothing to when I come up against somebody good. I'm less nervous. Like I'm more nervous racing Brian than somebody that is generally perceived as being a really good racer or that I perceive as being really good. Because then at that point I feel I got nothing to prove, and I just go up there and do the best I can. And if I do well, I'm gonna earn the respect of my peers. And if I get lucky enough to win, it's even better yet. So.
Hey, now, in my whopping career of probably 300 passes, it's only happened one time, and you got lucky. So don't expect that to happen again.
What was my reaction time in that round?
I don't know what yours was. All I know is mine was red. I had 2 red lights out of, 180 some passes this year, and both were in the final.
So, and Brian doesn't give himself enough credit. He has come a long, long way as a driver in the last 2 years and can rip off good reaction times and drive the finish line as good as anybody out there anymore. And and just what you just said, the fact that you were in several finals, most guys race a long time before that happens. So
Right. Yeah, I think.
so you can't play this
whole.
whole newbie I don't know what I'm doing card anymore. I'm sick of hearing it.
Which yellow do I leave on?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. So was that our results then?
We got a couple more. We have a couple more. Vegas D7. That was the final points race of the year. I'm pretty sure. They were supposed to finish on Saturday due to a bad forecast on Sunday. They couldn't finish on Saturday. They changed the race to 8th mile in the 4th round of stock, 3rd round of everything else. And in stock, Dwayne Scheitlin A stock automatic 70 Challenger took the win over Gary Emmons factory stock A 2014 Cobra Jet. And in super stock, Justin Lamb, super stock A stock 2010 Cobalt took the win over John Irving Superstock K Automatic 71 Duster. So, like you said, Justin Lamb, he dominates in Vegas. And the Emmons brothers, they were really on a roll at the end of the year here. So,
yeah, the Emmons brothers have really been driving great. And Dwayne Scheitlin, who was in the final there in his black 446 back Challenger, he has had a great year. He was actually early on in the discussion for the championship, traveled a lot and drove really well, and it was nice to see him get a win here right at the end of the year.
That is a beautiful car. Like, I haven't seen it in person, but man, that thing looks nice.
Yeah, we'll Mopar out on you here a little bit, Bobby, but it is a beautiful car to see in person with the black and the dark charcoal stripes. It's just a really gorgeous car.
I saw a picture of it today. Well, we have it on our Facebook page because we always try to post pictures of the winners and number 1 qualifiers. And when I did see that picture, I was impressed. And I also I'm giving Dwayne the upset of the week just because he got the win against the Emmons, the very hot Emmons team right now. So I'm giving Dwayne my pick upset of the week right there.
Well deserved.
Congratulations, Dwayne. Is it Scheitlin?
Yes.
Dwayne Scheitlin, A stock automatic, beautiful 1970 Challenger.
You know what else is really cool about that race this weekend? Is one of our local D5 guys kind of shortened up his ETs a little bit.
Yeah, Brent Kopechity, who was in 3rd place in Division 5 points, who normally drives a front-wheel drive Charger that goes 17, 20s, 16, something like that. It's fast. It's very fast in class. But he had the opportunity to possibly win the division if he could, and he had a race to claim yet, so he drove out to Vegas and borrowed Brian Schultz's 71 D-Stock automatic Duster. And I guess I didn't know this, but way back when, Brent had raced a Duster. But anyway, yeah, he gave it a whirl to try and improve his points position.
I was kind of watching that. I saw, I think, the test run. I was trying to watch John in the JEGS whatever Sports Nationals race, and I watched the test runs. And what was his first reaction time? Like, I figured, like, how is that car going to react compared to what he's used to? And I got the ticket here because I took a screenshot of it. I think the first pass I saw him taking that car, he was 001 on the tree.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because they were even talking like, whoa, because his EFS index is what they came up with. His number was 1724. because they said he ran on 11:15. They said he's gonna be in the tech barn for a year. If that's what he ran. But I had this conversation with Mans last week when we kind of were talking about it a little bit, like going to fast car, slow car, and the way it reacts, like trying to pick a spot on the tree. But yeah, first rip it was 001. I'm like, wow. I think it leaves a little, but he's always good on the tree in his other car too. So it just shows there's a lot of talent there. And I think we were all hoping for a little better outcome there. What did he end up on in points? Is he third then, right?
Yeah, he did. Two brothers actually finished 1 and 2 in stock in the division points. Ted and Jeremy Romero, another super talented couple of guys that work very hard at the sport, got very good equipment, and well deserving points finishes for them for sure. But it was fun to see Brent do as well as he did this year, and actually take the time and money and effort to go out and try and improve his points position.
Well, absolutely. Guys say slow cars can't make it, and Brent's a good example. And even our past guest Gary Hampton had just an amazing year. Ended up, I think, top 10 in his
He finished
division.
7th in Division 7 points. Yep.
So the guys that say slow cars don't stand a chance, there's a lot to it. It's just putting the package together and doing the best job you can, and just really getting your system down. It's neat to see those guys. Even Jody Lang. I mean, world champion's not in a fast car. How cool is that?
Very cool.
There's hope for you yet, Bobby.
All right. Maybe Jody can just drive a damn car for me. But yes.
Morph your inner Jody.
So another big deal kind of going on. Did we cover all the results? Am I jumping ahead? Am I doing it?
And results are finished.
I'm pretty
real quick though. I just want to say who the top 5 are in stock and super stock. We have Jody Lang, Parker DeVore finished number 2. Justin Lamb was 3 points behind him. Brett Candies and John Shaw, Division 1, coming in 5th. I believe he's got a 426.
Yeah, he's got a beautiful 63, 64 Plymouth. And John, I believe, is 77 years old.
Yes.
And he had some races this year where he was driving lights out, and even in Vegas. I mean, very, very impressive. So very cool.
Very happy for him, yes.
One thing we need to
he
do.
finished number 1 in Division 1 also then, so congrats, John Shaw.
We need to do a better job of talking about divisional points too. I don't have any of that stuff ready, and I'm sure we don't, but that would be.
You got a long winter. You can do some research.
We'll make a point. All divisional drivers, we haven't forgotten about you. Divisional points leaders, we will dedicate the first at least 10 minutes to you guys next week. All right? How's that, Brian?
Are we doing this next week? We'll have to figure that out. There's not racing to talk about every week, and I don't know if we're going to go 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but we're going to keep it going. We're not going to give up on it. It's been a lot of fun. I don't know if you guys want to hear Bobby and I banter back and forth and make fun of each other 52 weeks a year, but
yeah,
we'll be in the mix. We'll figure something out. I tell you what, one thing I am pretty excited about is big money class races. And we got a special guest today to kind of talk about a little bit the brains behind the madness, to kind of give some details. Is this just another bracket race? Is it a class race? We got Tyler Bohannan on Zoom live to help fill us in on some of the details. Can you hear us, Tyler?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Tyler, how's it going?
That's good. I'm sorry. It was not perfect to the video. Not in a preferred place, but we'll get.
All right, well, we'll get your audio squared away. Let me just give a little introduction. Tyler Bohannan, you guys may have heard of him. He runs stock, super stock. I believe he was a runner-up this year at a Topeka points race. Just seen his name in late rounds, in the results, mostly everywhere he goes. So we want to welcome him on the show. He has the details of this extravagant event that's supposed to be coming up. When? Easter weekend next year, Brian? Is that when it is?
Yep, it's what, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 2 separate events, the way I understand. Man, I'm excited. It's going to be at a really fast track. The way it looks like it's laid out, there's going to be heads up racing, there's going to be index, right, Tyler?
Yeah, so there'll be a little bit of everything. I think I've nailed down just about it. A little bit of everything for everybody, for all the different people between the main events and the CIC races, and you know, some of that second chance races as well. I think we got some.
All
Guys,
right.
still hear me?
Yep, now
Yes.
you're back.
Yep.
I wonder if you kill it.
Bandwidth is a little low, but all right. My question, I just have to ask this now: is this going to be just another bracket race? Are we going to qualify? What's the deal?
We will qualify. So the way the kind of schedule is laid out right now, there'll be 2 qualifiers for the first race, which will pay $25,000, and we'll ladder from round number 1 for that. So stock and super stock will qualify separate. They'll ladder separately, and they'll race separately until the final. So in the semifinal, so to speak, it'll be the finals of stock and super stock, and then the winners of those 2 will then make the round number 8, which will be the final. So we'll qualify, we'll ladder just like any other stock super stock event for NHRA, and then they will race separately until the final. And I know a lot of people are saying that it's just going to be another bracket race, but I think that I've taken the steps to kind of change that, you know, with the tech department, so to speak. I do have 3 guys that's 2 for sure locked in. 1 is probably locked in, Dave Lay, Travis Miller, and Wesley Robinson. So those 3 guys are going to be tech guys, 2 for sure. Wesley's supposed to be getting back to me. He said he was in, just had to check with his work schedule. These guys don't get paid enough to just be tech guys, but so they got a day job as well. But I mean, this isn't going to be normal. You know, just bracket racing. I'm with tech and scales being in effect and heads up runs and looking into fuel check, and there's possibility to be tore down. You know, I don't think that happens enough in the stuff that we do, especially over the years. It's now you don't even, this year they didn't tech a single car to even race, period. So, you know, they have gotten better at some things, but I do feel like NHRA has become too lenient on things, and it's allowing for more gray area rules to become legal or illegal stuff to be used and not have to worry about being caught with it.
Well, that's awesome. That's what it's going to take to completely legitimize the race. I know you can argue whether it is or what it isn't, but I'm certainly going to do everything in my power to drive. Like the fact if there is a second chance race, you know, even in the heads up, like my car, heads up to heads up, you know, hopefully we'll get closer in the game, but you know, who wants to drive 8 hours to go up and get in a heads up first round? But if there's a chance to come back and race again, that's pretty neat. And I think for driving interests and excitement into class racing with true heads up with tech, I mean, it's everything NHRA should be, right? We want more money, we want more tech, we want more legitimate races, we want heads ups. It's the greatest thing out there as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and then that's, you know, I've been racing myself stock super stock for only 5 or 6 years, but I've been in, you know, I'm 22 years old. My dad's been racing super stock since the day I was born. I mean, it's all I know, and I can see it just as I've grown up, the way it's going. And, you know, I know that not everybody likes the heads up runs. I, you know, drive all that way to lose first round, but, you know, the second chance race, like you were talking, if you lose, you know, first, second, maybe even third round, that's, you know, for $100 you can run for $5,000 and there's no heads ups. So, you know, for everybody, you know, if you can still come and gamble for the 25,000, and if you get put on a heads up and it doesn't work out in your favor, you can still run for $5,000, which is more than a divisional. You know, even with contingency, which is another problem that I see. You know, I think in 2019, in 4 weeks, I was in 4 finals and I collected $600 in contingency for 4 weeks. And you know, if they don't want to do a contingency program, just get rid of it completely, you know, because it's kind of a slap in the face when you run all this stuff and you know, run the decals you have to and buy the parts you have to, and it doesn't pay the way it's supposed to. And that's something else we're working on. That's the only kind of up in the air thing. I don't know if I'll get around to making the contingency program enough. I don't want to put a half-ass contingency program, so to speak, out there. So working on that, but just everything that I've seen that I don't necessarily like about NHRA in the last few years, I try to turn around and make better. I'm not trying to change the game. I'm trying to bring the game back. It's going away, I think, and I just want to, everything that they have in place is perfect. Everybody loves it, but they got to utilize it.
What are you looking for entry fee on that?
It'll be $699 for the weekend, so $699 for both races. So I tried to make it close to a national event. You know, it's $330 for a national. I think Indy's $380. You know, so I just kind of put it in the middle there for basically $350 a race for $25,000.
So basically, for $600 or $700, one tow, chance to win $50,000. Like,
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah, if it doesn't work out for you, for another $100, there's another $5,000 here. And for $100, there's another $5,000 here. And for the Go Fast guys, the CIC race, I'm working on it to be a free entry to pay $5,000 or $10,000 as well. So, and I'm trying my best to put something out there for these guys to go do. Hopefully it works out. So far, the feedback's been pretty good. I know the weekend wasn't ideal. I moved it around to make it work, I think, with the finishing on Saturday. I know it's not ideal. It's a holiday weekend. But I also want to implement, for the holiday, some kind of Easter service, something like that, or something for the kids. But it's not ideal, but it's, these tracks are getting more expensive and more expensive to lease. It's buying a house to lease these racetracks pretty much. And so you gotta make that happen. And Easter weekend helped out with that a little bit at a facility that I think is one of the 15 nicest tracks and fastest tracks in the country for sure.
Tyler, what facility are you having the race?
St. Louis, so at a Worldwide Technology Raceway.
I think we're gonna have to invest in a bunny suit, and we'll have Bobby do live remotes from the racetrack dressed as the Easter Bunny.
Yes, please. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hippity hop. We will have to do live from if I can
Oh yeah.
get to this race, which I'm really hoping I can.
Let's get a hold of Randy Lynn and see if she can come up with our outfits and our costumes for this. Well,
She's about 10 minutes from me right now. I'll run over there. She can get it done without a doubt.
We'll have to get her on. Maybe we can. Yeah, we'll have a show where she can just come up with all these ideas for us.
And that's another cool thing too, is I think this is bringing out, I've had a few phone calls. I won't say any names yet, but there's other guys that are working on races that are like this. And, I think that's great. I'm not trying, this isn't like the big money bracket racing where there's 100 of these races a year and you're trying to decide which one to go to. I mean, this needs to happen. I think that between myself and a couple of other guys that have got something in the works, we can make something out of this and show NHRA that there is other stuff out there and that is way more bang for your buck. And, I don't want to see NHRA go. I still want to go do that, but I just want them to get the idea in their head that, this is the way we want it, and hopefully they can change and get that way.
Hey, Tyler, John McLaughlin here. I just, first off, want to thank you for, it's got to be just a ton of work to try and put something like this on. And I think your point is exactly right. None of us want to see NHRA go away. It's what we've, tried to be successful in all our lives, but boy, to see somebody try and incorporate the obviously current very successful big money bracket scene into super stock racing and have it be legit, and I couldn't be more excited. I know I've got half a dozen people from up here in the North Country that are going to make the trip down there. It sounds like it's going to be just a really cool deal.
are we gonna make the stick guys qualify first?
Yeah, I'm super.
Any chance of class eliminations, Tyler?
Another thing that I'm doing too. Yeah, I haven't worked that out completely. At first, when I was first putting this together, I really didn't have it in there. But obviously, there's a lot of support for class eliminations. I'm moving towards doing that. Don't have it together yet. Not sure what direction to take it. I got to make a couple more phone calls on that and see if we can't work it out. Just don't usually. I want to get as much racing in as possible over the 4 days, and I'm just going to go back and make a new schedule and make sure we can fit it all in, because I didn't have it originally, but definitely something we're looking into. And what you were saying, John, with the big money bracket racing. I mean, I don't want this to be a bracket race, and I don't want it to be, you pay $350 to race for $3,500 or whatever a national event is now. But I think a little bit of both will make everybody happy. So as long as you can make it as legit as possible.
Yeah, and that was kind of my point that I maybe didn't make clear. But I mean, I've invested my life now in super stock racing, and I couldn't be more passionate about it. And heads up racing I've never really had the faster car, but some of my best memories are the heads-up races that I've won or watched my kids win. You know, from a performance deficit, I mean, there's just nothing more fun, and that's what makes it different. And for me, being a technical mechanic type guy, I mean, trying to figure out how to make your cars faster, and I need a sandbox to play in. So we've got to keep this thing moving forward, you know. And we've been blessed to have great success here in the Midwest with Midwest class racers and a lot of the association stuff. But just to see another facet of it with what you're trying to do here, I couldn't be more excited about it.
Yeah, and that's, you know, I forgot what you had said, and I was trying to remember it, but it was about, you know, we don't want to see NHRA go. I invest my time into trying to win championships. You know, I want to win a world championship. I got to watch everybody do it all these years, and it's, you know, I've won big money bracket races. I've been deep in the bigger bracket races, and, you know, nothing compares to winning a Wally. You know, nothing will ever set that, winning a national event. Nothing will ever, you know, get to the prestige that does. And you know, I want to try to bring that to this. And you know, with the heads up runs, I don't want to bring up bad memories for people, but the division championship that I won, I was in a carbureted Corvette 327 and HR automatic, and had to win a heads up run in the semifinals against the LT1. I was 2/10 in the hole to start, and, you know, got by and won the division. And, you know, the feeling when I got back to the trailer and saw my dad, and, you know, before that, he knew that I had to win that round to win the championship. And he was basically in tears, thinking that, you know, the car that he gave me to win the championship wasn't enough. And, you know, to see his excitement when I got back, you know, you can't do that anywhere but super stock racing. And that's why I love it so much. And, you know, it's why I did this and why I keep racing the sport.
Well, as frustrating as it is for me, you know, as new to the sport and trying to figure everything out, like I'm dodging heads ups. I'm trying to just get better and, you know, fine tune the craft. But if there's not heads up and you're not qualifying off the index, it's not class racing to me. Like, that's what's really cool about it, and that's what separates it from a bracket race of any other type. If you're not going to have heads ups and you're not going to qualify, it's not super stock class racing.
Yeah, that's my opinion too. You know, I know a lot of people won't agree with that, and that's okay. I mean, you know, but super stock racing is qualified, and if you got somebody in G stock automatic, you're in G stock automatic, we're gonna run them heads up. So,
yeah, it's a performance-based class, and though, you know, heads ups can be heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And you like you said, you know, you don't want to drive 8 hours, get a heads up first round. That's the way it is, and that can be heartbreaking. But it's not so bad when you know the car in the other lane is legal.
Absolutely.
So that's where this whole tech factor comes in. Now, Tyler, my question is, I know it's a big, huge payout at the top. Are you going to be – how's the round money going to be? Because that entices people to come also. Like, I just won $50 yesterday for winning first round. I like that kind of stuff. I like round money. I want the trip to be worth it if I make it to the 4th or 5th round. I don't want to get $100, you know, and have to win 6th round to get $5,000. So is the round money going to be decent?
Yeah. So how it's – yeah, well, right now the way it's set up, the big thing that my partner Brian and I are deciding on is, do we want to pay to lose 3rd round or 4th round? But right now it's set up, if you win 3rd round, you get $250, and the round money's $250 from there. So it's $250, then $500, then $750, then $1,000, and then I think that would be 6th round. So that would be the semis. But it's set up now to where if you make it to 4th round, you're getting $250. But I'm also going to restructure that into, if you win 2nd round, you know, we're going to start there and structure it back to 3rd round losers getting paid too, and kind of compare those and see which one we think's best. Okay. But the round money, you know, for the round, you know, making it to 4th round, the round money is pretty good at $250.
I have a spreadsheet I can send you. I made it for guys that were having races back in the day, where you just put the number of cars you have, your entry fee, and what you want to pay each round. Very simple. I like the idea of winning 2nd round, because even with our NHRA payouts, if you make it to 3rd round, you're getting some money. So me, I could just be speaking for myself right now. I like winning 2nd round and getting something.
Well, the cool thing is, if you go out 2nd round, you can still get in the
I'm glad you brought that up, because Yeah, and then so if you make it the third round and then you got your heads up, then you still getting a little bit of money. So I agree. That's definitely something we're going to go back and work on.
Okay.
I couldn't remember if NHRA paid third or fourth round. I struggle with that. My memory's not the greatest.
$300 to win second round at a national event, and for Division 1 we get $100 to win second round.
Is there going to be a cap on the car count?
Okay, that's yeah. So right now we're looking at we're going to just do 128 in each class. So 128 stockers, 128 super stockers. That's for the first race. We had the idea of maybe taking more and qualifying them, and then a percentage of your entry fee will get back to you. But I didn't want to do that for this race. I want everybody that's there to be able to race and to have a shot at it, and the amount of cars that show up, hopefully it fills in 30 minutes, and after qualifying be mad about the outcome of it because it took 95 under in late March, early April in St. Louis, and they went 90 under and didn't get in or something like that. So we are just going to take 128 in each class for this one.
If my car went 90 under, I don't even have to make the race because that's like a win in 50 grand right there.
I think I've always thought that's what NHRA should do, Tyler, is let 85 cars in and qualify 64 or whatever. So if that's something that can happen in the future, hopefully that can help it and help it financially so that you can keep doing these races. But I understand why a guy wouldn't want to do that on the first one.
Well, and that's where we're at. It's something I'm looking at in the future, kind of get the first one where everybody there is racing and let them see what's going on. That way, even if we do qualify in the future, you still have these 256 guys. Or, my rule this isn't the only race I promote. I do 2 other ones as well. If you can make 95% happy, you're doing a phenomenal job. And that's the number you shoot for. So if 200 of these guys leave and say, this is the best race I've ever been to, I had such a good time, they treated us well, then that can grow from there, and we can look into the qualifying. I love qualifying myself. I don't always have a fast car either, so, and I still enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's I think a point. I enjoy qualifying, and I've had when I started in stock super stock, my car, I've been at a race that I did not qualify. It was a full qualified field in Vegas, and I didn't get in because my car would only go 20 under. But I think most of us started racing, bracket racing our street car, and grew towards this. And so that it's not supposed to be easy, right?
Wait a minute, you don't just start in stock?
No.
You should have told me that when you convinced me to get into this thing, John. Come on.
But that's the point. That's what makes it different, and makes it exciting. Because I bracket raced for 20 years, and had gotten to the point where I did okay and won my share of races. But quite honestly, I was getting a little bit bored, and we didn't have a big money bracket scene up here, and blah blah blah. And I was really excited to get into stock super stock, and it's been the funnest thing I've ever done the last 7-8 years I've been doing it. So I think that's what makes it different and makes it exciting.
And I think that's something else that is hurting the stock super stock programs, at least in Division 3 and Division 2, is that our big money bracket racing scene is obnoxious. I mean, I can go within 2 hours of my house every single week of the year and race for 10 grand or more. No doubt about it, for $200 or $300. I mean, and that's hurting the stock super stock around here because they see what NHRA is paying to win a divisional. Why would they go do that when they can go make 40 runs in a weekend and race for 30 grand? I mean, me personally, if anytime that there's a bracket race and an NHRA race, I go to the NHRA race. But that's how I was raised, and these guys don't see it. They love the cars and love the racing, but it's a constant money pit, and they can actually go try to make some money in the bracket racing world, and that's what's hurting it around here. But I know where you guys are at. And further out west too, they don't have that. And I think not having that helps stock super stock.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Tyler. And one thing you said, everybody thinks stock super stock cars are cool, right? And some people perceive that it's expensive. In my opinion, it's not. But we won't get into that whole discussion right now. And we can that's why I'm so excited for you to have this race, because you can start building excitement, bring that little bit of that big money bracket scene into stock, super stock racing while keeping it legit, and just continue to grow the sport. Just like we've been able to do here in the Midwest with our Midwest class racers and with good payouts, and we get great car counts, and it's a super fun environment, and you get the race done in one day, and it's just so, and there's room for all of it, because we all want to, like you said, chase that Wally, and I've been blessed enough to win a divisional. I haven't won a national event yet, but I'm going to keep trying, and that's what we all want to do. There's room for all of it.
The crazy thing is these races, for me being new to it, are starting to become like a family reunion. We basically have 9 family reunions a year, so I can only imagine this is going to be like the 20-year class reunion for 50 grand. Like, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I've got a lot. That's something that I've been blessed with, not only as a promoter, but as a driver as well. As there's a lot of people in my area, Ricky Decker, Todd France, and so many more. Those are just 2 that come to my mind, but I've got a lot of good racers that have been doing this a long time that I can bounce ideas off of. Nick Morris, I can call him and say, I got this idea, and they can tell me, no, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard you say, or yeah, that's a great idea, try it. And so I think that's what's going to make it great too, is I personally, I don't like taking everybody's opinion, but I like getting their ideas and kind of combining them and making one maybe change or one thing out of all 3 opinions, and I've been blessed to have all those guys to call and do that with, and and like you were saying, John, we're all chasing the Wally. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to learn more. Hopefully, as you get more details, like I said, we're hoping to have you on a couple more times, and whatever we can do to promote this, and we appreciate you fighting through the weak signal there and taking a little time off work, fill us in here, and we'll definitely keep everybody up to date on the podcast. We plan on having Tyler on more often.
Tyler,
I was thinking, Tyler, because if you do want to keep performance in this, maybe you do qualify 128, and the guys who don't qualify, give them a free entry to that 5 bracket race, or give them like a discounted half price entry to that, and that way you can keep the performance aspect in the class race, and then those guys won't be totally upset that they didn't make they'll get into the other race. Just trying to figure out ways to keep the performance in this, because I know in everybody's heart they want the performance to be in this thing.
Yeah, and that's actually the idea. No, you're right, because we want to. The way we kind of thought about it, if we do go that route, is to give a percentage of their entry back, and then plus put them in. They're automatically in the second chance race. And the other thing that we were kind of thinking about is, yeah, that was it. And we got a couple other ideas with the second chance race as well. But that way they can, because their money, obviously at 128, it makes my money. I can pay all my bills, and the track lease is taken care of, and all that, and my tech guys. But so all of the other racers would be extra money, and I want to make sure that obviously they paid, and they showed up trying to qualify, and it won't be a full refund or anything, because they were here to race, but still give them some of their money back and put them in that $5,000 is an idea that we were tossing around as well.
Yeah, well, that even if you give the money back, that would be even a bonus. I was just thinking free entry into that 5K race, but that's even more generous what you're proposing. How about, did you just think about leaving stock and super stock separate? What's no point in running them off 8th round. They're probably going to split the money anyway. Why not just let stock be 7 rounds, super stock be 7 rounds, and call it a day? Run them for 12-5, and 12-5 to win, or something like that. Or do you?
That was in my. I wanted to get to that not astronomical number for stock super stock, guys. That over 20,000. That's where I wanted to get with this. I wanted it to pay that way.
Okay.
And the only way I felt like you could do that was to combine them, but the best way to do that was to separate them until the final. I don't want it to just be a combo race from the start, but I think separating them until then was the best way.
Gotcha.
Tyler, can you announce a date of when we're going to be able to enter this race? When you're going to have I know you got a lot of work to do getting all the details ironed out, and you're going to release a flyer, but I just want to make sure I don't miss getting my chance to get entered in this race, actually with a couple cars.
I want you to miss, Johnny.
No.
Don't,
No, we're-
Justin Lamb, please turn off your radio right now. John McLaughlin. Who else can we throw out there? Jody Lang, you're
Jody
not
Salem.
invited.
Yeah.
It's funny you say Justin's name. Usually when I put a flyer out there for a race, he'll call me. And Justin's a friend of mine, and but he's one of those people that I love to hear from, because he's always going to criticize what I'm doing, but it's always constructive. He's telling me, stuff I should do, and he hasn't called me on this one, so I'm waiting on it. But we're looking at January 12th for the pre-entry. It'll be on our website, racederbycity.com. And I'll post that as well again, but looking at January 12th, I can pretty much go ahead and set that. It'll be January 12th. And, we'll have a link there on our website. Jeff Serra out of, wherever a racetrack is where he's from. Yeah. He takes care of our website, does a great job. It's very user friendly. I think it's a lot more user friendly than NHRA Racer and Trying to International event. So we'll put more details on that as well. I'll post a video of how that works and get that out to everybody. And I know you guys Brian, you were talking about having me on a couple more times. Hopefully that I'll have more details every time and can get everybody a little bit better idea how this is going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for jumping on, and we appreciate your time, and we look forward to hearing more from you.
Yeah, I'll have a better setup next time too. Sorry about that. I'll be at home on my computer, and this will work out a little better for the audio and everything else.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for joining us, Tyler.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
All right. Take care.
Thanks.
So, I don't mean to kick him off early, but we're also running out of time, and my mentor and protege is sitting to my right hand, and I want to be like, what in the world convinced John McLaughlin to start bracket racing or stock racing in general?
Well, what got me into racing?
Yes.
Or what? Yeah. So, well,
take us back to when Johnny was a little boy, not like yesterday, but like little boy.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I grew up here in the hills, just west of Millbank here, farming and ranching, and I went to high school in a little Langford, South Dakota, is where I'm from, and it's a town of 320 people. Like I always tell people, that I meet at the races and from Vegas and all these places, no, you don't understand. The town I went to high school in had 320 people, not my class, not the school, but. Anyway, so, and obviously with my great stature and whatever, I wasn't big into athletics. Most of the kids in my class were over 6 foot in the 6th grade, and I was my whopping 5'8" by the time I was a junior. But so anyway, there was a couple guys in town that Todd and Wayne Sell had 66 Impalas, and they were going down to Marion, and I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. And I had a Fury in high school, and then I built a Chevelle, and the first thing I ever went to the racetrack in, though, is when I was 17 years old, I had a 70 383 4-speed Roadrunner, which is what I'm still racing today. And anyway, I went to the track, and I just thought, this is like the big time. Here, I'm just this hillbilly kid from South Dakota, and I'm, driving my car and I drove my car to the track for years and just morphed into doing more serious bracket racing. And but it was probably, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago when I finally quit driving my car to the track and got a trailer. And then my kids by that time were 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. And my middle boy was going to the track with me all the time. And I got him into a junior that we actually hauled in the back of my pickup, if you remember that, Brian, but the car would be sticking out. And then my oldest son started racing in the high school class. And like I said, by that time I was doing fairly well and winning my fair share of races, and just wanted to take the next step, and had idolized and read about these super stock cars, and just couldn't believe how fast they were with the restrictive rules, and what's that all about and how's that work, and I asked around, and I called Brad Van Lant to figure out how to work on a set of cylinder heads for a big block Chrysler, and one thing morphed into another, and 2 years later I had a running stocker. And then my oldest son, who had been racing a cop car in the high school class, turned 16, and we bought the Wagon. Wouldn't run the index when we got it, but got that built into a stocker, and it just took off from there. And then about 3 years after that, I got the opportunity in my career to move to Flagstaff and out west, and met all these other guys that I'd read about and idolized, read in National Dragster and magazines, and they're real people, and they're still racing. And anyway, so yeah, it just morphed from there. And always raced a 4-speed, by the way. And it's funny, the way I got that nickname was Dennis Bremen gave it to me, because I'd be racing at Thunder Valley, and there'd be 200 bracket cars there, and I'd be racing in 3 classes, going through the rounds, and I'd have the only stick car on the property. And what is that guy doing? Is he mad at that car or what? Well, that's 4-speed Johnny. So anyway, sorry to ramble on, but that's kind of a brief synopsis of how I got into this deal.
Well, it was kind of funny because I unfortunately entered the racing world. I never really had any cool cars or anything growing up, and I purchased a 68 Charger that body was decent, but it was kind of a wiring mess, a mechanical mess, and I think I went into the local Chrysler dealership and I was talking, and I'm like, I gotta do some work with this car. Like, oh, you should talk to 4-Speed Johnny. Like, who's 4-Speed Johnny? Well, he's like the manager of the Watertown Fords. I went in. Hey, I got this car. Can you help me with it? And over the course of 6-7 months, John's a excellent fabricator. Very, like, everything he has is pretty nice. Like, takes his time. The wiring, we put new wiring harness in it. We pieced together a 440 out of parts that he had laying around in the closet. And I probably had the cheapest 440 running down the track, and then he's like, oh, you need to come to the drag strip. Well, my uncle grew up, and I always heard stories about them going to Thunder Valley, and as I was a kid, I thought it was always cool, but I'd never actually been there. So one Labor Day week, and he's like, oh, bring that Charger down. We just got it running. I'd never been to the track before. And that was funny. I think that thing ran, I don't remember what it ran. I think it ran like 1205, 1206, something like that.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive for the used camshaft and the whatever cylinder heads. And
it had the glitter purple cylinder heads.
Yeah, it was some old stuff I had laying around. It ran really good.
And I think actually I went, I'm not 100% sure, but I think I still went 3 rounds that first time in street running the Charger on Labor Day weekend. And I'm like, this is pretty cool.
See, he always plays off like he's not that good. The first time he goes to the track, he goes 3 rounds. That ain't the way it worked out for me.
Well, it just, I don't know. I had good leadership, I guess. But one of the funny things, and then I think I was probably the next year, I think we went to Pier. I literally went to the track 4 or 5 times before 2 years ago when I got this car. And every time I went, it seems like you would go rounds. But I remember
he's a natural talent, folks.
I still remember, I think it was at first, I think it was like 3rd or 4th round in Labor Day weekend in street car, on my car. I passed the guy, whatever, took off, and I won. I took the stripe, but his light came on. And I thought, what in the world? Like, I beat the guy. And I'd come up to John, I'm like, what happened? He's like, we didn't have to take a football field. I'm like, what do you mean? I won the race. He's like, you went too fast. Like, you got to back into him. You can't just fly by. And I'm like, I don't understand what you're talking about. Like, I beat him off the line. I was green. I took the stripe. How can I lose? And so John's like, you got to drive the stripe. You got to watch what you're doing. And so that was one thing that really stuck into my memory. So in my whole whopping 4 things, yeah, it was pretty easy to be not successful, but at least go rounds, and it was pretty fun. Well, my most memorable race last year was at Earlville. I'm going around, and I finally made it through first round in stock at the Earlville Divisional. And I was just jacked. I come pulling up to my pit, because we always pit together. I get out of my car. I'm like jumping up and down. It's like John Force winning my 100th race. Nobody's around. It's like a ghost town. I'm like, where's everyone? I'm expecting like fanfare and confetti ticker tape parade. Nobody's anywhere to be seen. I walk around the trailer.
Circle photo.
Here they're all sitting in their chairs on the other side of John's trailer. And he looks at me and he just sticks his hand out. Like, let me see your ticket. I give him his ticket and he's like, really? Cutting that one a little close. I mean, it was like .007 or something margin of victory. I mean, it was like a foot. It's like cutting a little close. I'm like, come on, Dad. Like, you should be proud of me. Now, first you took too much. Now you're not taking enough. I'm like, I can never make you happy, John. Come on.
Well, you had the race won without tightening it up that much. But anyway, if we all, I fail to execute my thoughts and theories all the time, as last weekend proved. So,
well, the one thing I will say about John is he has really nice stuff. He's a true craftsman. Like, everything on his car, he's pretty much doing himself, and I really have a lot of respect. I don't know of the group I race with. There's Is it true you don't have any feeling in your hands, John? That's why you don't own a set of oven mitts?
Well, yeah, they've been beat up pretty good over my lifetime, yes.
Like, he's the reason he wants me to put a stick in my car, but yet I've never seen him make a pass and not lay under the car and make a clutch adjustment. Like,
Hey, for the record, and I have witnesses, I did not go inside the bell housing in my car the first 2 races at Vegas. I did make one small change at the National Open there that it responded good to. So
I do see your crew chief Jamie is watching on us with Facebook Live. Jamie, can you attest to that, or?
Amy just said effing liar.
Oh boy. So what is the secret to making that stick car work? Like, your reaction times were off the charts. You've been dress driving. You've had an incredible year. What you've won. I know you beat me in an event. What have you won, 2 this year?
yeah, won 2 races, runner up at another one, and semifinals twice, and in quarterfinals I don't know how many times. So, but yeah, I've had a good year in and obviously I wanted to go out west here and improve my NHRA performance a little bit, and I did make it down to 8 cars in the national event, which would be the farthest I've ever went, and the whopping 4 national events I've competed in. So, and I did drive, better than I expected, or better than I feel I'm able to right now. So yeah, it's just, Brian, you just, as you know, you just got to work at it, and you can keep getting better. That's one thing that keeps me coming back to this sport. Is I'm 48 years old. I've been doing this for 31 years, and I keep getting better. So I'm gonna keep trying to compete. And the way it is today, there's so many good guys out there that you need to keep getting better. So I hit the practice tree, not during the season, but over the winter time. I try and hit it 10 times a day, and usually that turns into 20 as I'm frustrated with my performance. But I log it and kind of keep track of what I'm doing, and I'll do different things. I'll change the rollout up. I'll block. I'll not block. I'll lights off, lights on. Try and do different things there to help increase my starting line performance, which has gotten to be fairly decent here in recent history. I've had a lot of help from other racers, advice. Larry Gilly, Johnny Gray, those are guys that really helped me with my reaction time performance. I've spoken and messaged, Justin Lamb, Luke Bagacki, those guys. There's a lot of tools out there with the drag racing schools and things that can help you. The finish line stuff, I tell you, and I believe, in my opinion, there's, nothing that helps that other than seat time, and I made some mistakes there this weekend in races that I could have, should have won, and just failed to execute because I haven't done it enough. So
That's a good one to bring up there. Walk us through first round against Al Corda, world champion, when you got a new nickname as 0007 Johnny.
Quite honestly, I remember the races I lose more than the ones I win, so I'm still trying to figure out how I did not win against Scott Burton and Justin Lamb when I had them both treed, and managed to screw it up at the finish line. But no, Al, every time that I've had the opportunity to race him a couple times now, and I lost to him in Pier this spring in the quarterfinals, and that one stung pretty good. And so I wanted to give him a good race, but I didn't want to give it to him, so I just tried to be solid on the tree. And I figured Al was holding a little bit, which as it looked like in the time slip he was, and I tried to give him a little different look down there, and 7/10,000ths of a second, that's anybody's race, obviously. And Al's a great racer and a great driver, and I was just got the math to swing my way, which in my first round loss against Justin Lamb in the divisional, where I was 10 on the tree to his 25. Obviously he's holding a little bit, and I wasn't trying to, because when I race somebody really good like that, I figure I'll screw up the finish line. I'll let them make the decision, and I try and be dialed really hard. But in that race, my car left really good, and I knew I was probably holding a little bit, and so I got I scrubbed a little bit down there, but it was 1,000th of a second margin of victory in Justin's favor. So in that one, the math went the other way. So.
Well, I know I try to defend my automatic guys against the stick guys all day long, but it would be really, really hard to be as consistent and drive as good as you've drove this year, rowing the gears. Like, there's so many more variables. There's, you've got 3 chances to miss a shift, or, just the little stuff and the clutch maintenance. I don't know if there's anybody that stays on top of the clutch as or no, maybe knows the clutch. Like, it's crazy how you can spin and it doesn't really make a result at the end. Like, you have just seat time and know how your clutch is going to work and how the car leaves. It boggles my mind just how well you clutch guys have to know your cars and have to know everything.
Well, there's something to be said for that. I mean, obviously, I've got a lot of seat time in this car specifically, but I mean, in the same car basically for 30 years. But there are some advantages, in my opinion, to the stick shift deal. There are starting line situations where they can be more forgiving, and the other thing for me personally, you know, I've driven automatic cars, obviously, and for other people and done okay in them or whatever. But to me, if I have too much time to think in a race car, I'm gonna mess it up. So if I gotta be, you know, and this missing gears thing, I don't even know what that is. I don't, to my knowledge, I don't think I've ever done it. But anyway, you just get it in gear, get it in high gear, you know, and now you're past the 8th mile. Now you can start making a decision. And to me, it's easier to be focused, you know, letting go with my left foot than taking my finger off a button, you know, or letting go of the brake pedal, which in foot braking is basically the same thing like we do in stock. So anyway, I find it, you know, just much more comfortable to let go of a clutch pedal and stay busy in the race car, so I got less time to think. Now, maybe I do need a little more time to think, so I'd make some better decisions at the finish line. But anyway, historically, that's the way I've thought about it.
So the plan is just know how the race is going to lay out before you even pull up to the light, rip the tree down, and not think about anything else.
Well, no, that plan will not work either, unfortunately. So you do have to have in your head what you know, I do, you know, I've gotten to the point where I try and study my opponents a little bit to see where they've been running. You know, I generally know when I go up there if someone's holding a bunch or not. And so I have in my head what I expect the race to play out like, but you cannot not pay attention to what's happening on the racetrack, you know. So if there's somewhere that doesn't look right like that or whatever, I mean, you have to make decisions, you know, split-second decisions and react to them. And like I said, obviously I need a lot of work to get better at that. But, you know, for the most part, you kind of know what's going on with your opponent, and sometimes they'll change it up, and that's what the really good guys do, you know. They can hold, they can be honest, they can do all kinds of different things, and that's the name of the game.
Any questions, Bobby? I've been kind of taking over this conversation.
Just taking it in here. No, when he said, I do think that the clutch cars they actually are a little more forgiving on the starting line. I've spun a little bit in the super stocker, and it, you know, the 60-foot time may be a little, you know, less than it was on the previous pass, but by the time I'm in third gear, the runs are overlapping, even on the graph. And
That's it.
It's consistency. The consistency of my stick car is really, it's unbelievable sometimes. And it is more reacting instead of thinking. You don't have a lot of time. I'm in 4th gear right after the 330. So by 8th mile, my left foot is over to the brake pedal and 2 hands are on the wheel. So it's an automatic car from 8th mile on out for me, and I'm ready to make my finish line decisions.
You know, I don't know if I want to talk about and give away all our stick shift advantages here, Bobby, but there are starting line conditions that where an automatic car with the torque multiplication, the torque converter, and what makes those things so fast down low can be a hindrance to them. And I find the same thing in my car. Like when my car leaves really good, or compared to when it spins a little bit and gets a little bit of wheel speed, it does not affect it as much as it would an automatic car.
That's hurt me before.
Yeah.
Because I distinctly remember I was racing Drew Skillman at the Norwalk National event, and it was late. We were running second round at midnight, and I dumped the clutch out, and it just did a wheelie like higher than it did all weekend. And I was like, oh my god, the way it launched so hard. I'm on a breakout. I got to hit the brakes at the finish line, and here I tapped the brakes at the finish line, give it back by 2 thou. And ouch. I didn't have to. I was on the number, so it didn't make me any faster to have that hard launch. So like you're saying, the little spin with the wheel speed it doesn't slow you down.
And that's one thing you guys have talked about on the podcast before. Every car is different there, you know, and that's where keeping records. And I've gotten to the point where I keep ridiculous amounts of information. Probably not Mike Mann's territory, but because I'm learning more and more how my car reacts to different track conditions, to different weather conditions, and so just the more information you can have there, I think it's not necessarily a competitive edge, but it helps you be more competitive. And one other thing that sometimes will throw people for a loop with a stick car is the finish line closing ratios. My G stick, 120, 117 to 120 mile an hour car, depending on the conditions, it accelerates differently in high gear than a really fast G-Stock automatic car, for example. So that surprises people sometimes, and I was on the lucky side of that in a couple races out west here in the last month. So anyway, there's good things and bad things about all combinations, and you just got to work with your combination. But I can tell you one thing for sure, Brian: win or lose, driving a 4-speed car is way more fun.
Agreed. Yep.
I don't even know if I want to say this, but anybody that's ever pitted next to Johnny knows that the true reward to parking next to John is if you need help, he's there. Like, that's a side effect. Man, when his mom's with, and the food that you eat at the track, I hope your crew chief is taking notes, because that's 5-star dining. Gary Hampton won a race because of your potatoes.
Yeah, I've been perfecting my racetrack cooking skills here. Like I said, the most rewarding thing I've done in my life, honestly, and in racing in general, is being able to race with my kids as they were growing up. And so I had to perfect my racetrack cooking skills, and they keep attaining new levels. I mean, I got Doug and Lynn Engels chasing me around when they leave the track to get the leftovers so they can have them to go home. And yeah, Gary drove by the night before he won that race, and I hollered at him, said, "Hey, have you eaten yet?" And he stopped in, and yeah, so hopefully maybe I was a small part of that victory.
The guys that race with John joke about him pulling a bowling alley because he's got a 2-car trailer. The funny thing is when I met John, it was the open trailer, sleeping in the back. Like, it's kind of cool. So, like, it's not that it's extravagant, big crazy deal. It actually works for him when he's hauling his 2 cars with his kid, or even hauling cars for work. But is that going to get longer so you can have John's kitchen, John's Speedway track snacks or something, in the back? Like,
I've got a whole plan of how I'm going to fit a kitchen and a bathroom in that front 6 feet of room that I got in front of my car, and I'm going to have to find someplace else to put my toolbox. But yeah.
Well, thanks for coming up, John. We know you spent a lot of time driving around. You've been putting a lot of miles on and just getting in. I'm like, if he's this close, we got to get him in studio. He's too smart not to have in here.
Well, I appreciate, and I'm honored that you asked me to be on here. And I wanted to do this disclaimer before the show started, but so I'll do it at the end. But the thoughts and opinions of me do not reflect directly on whymilbank.com, Bobby Fazio, Brian Anderson, our class racing today. Just so you know, send the hate mail directly to
me. Oh man!
But thanks for having
John.
me on. Yep,
you got it. All right, Johnny McLaughlin, Mr. 4-Speed. And also, one last thing, we did not discuss the top 5 super stock drivers. We said Warner and Warner finished 1 and 2. I just needed to round out. Number 3 was David Latino, beating number 4, Kyle Rizzoli, by 1 whole point. And number 5, Justin Lamb. So Justin Lamb finished number 3 in stock, number 5 in super stock. Congratulations to the top 5 drivers. And then next podcast, we'll go over the divisional drivers to give them their fair share of recognition. Brian?
So when is our next episode? Is there racing next weekend?
I don't know. I have to find a schedule to see if there's any random like national opens happening or any combo races. Or I keep saying Vegas, this was the last divisional, and I'm 99% sure of that, but there's no other divisionals. The points are finished, right?
The season is over, Bobby.
Okay.
But you guys have plenty to talk about, and there's going to be a lot going on. We've all got new things going on, so there's no excuse for not having an episode next week. You already promised. I can't even remember. I hope you wrote it down, Bobby. You had something you were going to spend 10 minutes on. Oh, recognizing all the individual divisional. Yep. You could turn that into a whole show.
Absolutely.
I just think
we need your reviews. People write us, give us some feedback on our Facebook page here. You can give us stars. Brian, where else can they give us some stars? On the Apple podcast page?
Yeah, if you go to the Apple podcast, if you listen to us on Apple, go to our homepage. So if you go to Class Racing Today, there's a spot on there where you can write a review. Now, we have some ratings, but if you don't write a review, it doesn't help as much. So Got to give a shout out to the postmaster. Last episode, he went right on and wrote us a review, and that helps how we're ranked with Apple, and it helps people find us easier. So if you would do that, that's great. Class Racing Today at Gmail's our email address if you want to send any hate mail, fan mail.
Love mail.
So go ahead and just tell us what you like, what you don't like. I mean, it's been a lot of fun. I always wonder, what are we going to talk about this episode? And pretty soon an hour goes by, and I guess people aren't tired of us rambling yet because it's being really well received. So it's been a lot of fun, and thanks for listening.
All right, guys. Everybody have a nice week. Enjoy. Get started. Get working on your race cars. And we will see you next year, but you will be able to listen to us all winter.
Thanks for
Have a
having
good
me.
week.